everyone, so we got something a little bit different for today. As you can see, I told you I was going to get the boys involved at some point in week one, and we have Trev who's going to talk about his bass setup for today. Before we get started though, please remember to like and subscribe or follow us depending on where you're watching from. So let's get going. So Trev, first of all, talk us through your bass guitar, because you get a lot of people come up to you after shows asking about this bass because it's something that they might not have seen before. So yeah, talk us through it.
Yeah, I think anyone who's come to our shows over the last couple of years or so would have seen me play this pretty much exclusively. This is a Wilcock bass. It's made by a gentleman called Viv Wilcock in London, who's this brilliant bass maker. I think if there are bass players watching that are kind of interested in it, they would have seen guys like Tim LaFave and Michelle Ndegeocello and just kind of all of the heavy cats using this or one of Viv's basses these days. So he, I think since he kind of started making stuff, it's just kind of like really taken off, and I was lucky to sort of get hold of one of these fairly early on. He specialises in short scale basses primarily. This is one. This model's called the Mullarkey bass, which I think he sort of developed it with Robin Mullarkey, who's again, for anyone in the bass community, especially in the UK, will know Rob Mullarkey. Has been a great player. So this was sort of based on the spec that those two put together. But yeah, it's just for the concept of the sound I have for the trio, it just really works icely. It's kind of thinking about bass in a sort of fusion context a little bit differently, because there are obviously guys out there who kind of do the 5-string, 6-string kind of active sound in fusion that we're all kind of like used to hearing, that is phenomenal, but I think I'm trying to go for something that's sort of very different to that for the sound we have in the trio. So this is great. It's more, I guess conceptually I always think about it like it's kind of Paul McCartney playing in a prog jazz fusion sort of context, but the sound is sort of somewhat Hofner-y, somewhat Ricky, depending on how you kind of have it kind of configured and what pickups and stuff you're using. It has labella flats, which I've also got on my P bass as well. I pretty much use flats for everything, especially in the trio. It's just very much the sound that I'm looking for, and I think just as a player in general, I'm more interested and more kind of turned on by that sort of sound. So yeah, what to say about this? Just a massive, muddy, great sounding pickup up by the neck here, which I just love. I think kind of if I play another bass on a gig now, I always miss just having this real like thick sound, especially being able to solo like this front pickup. It just sounds really good. This pickup, this back one here, gets more akin to sort of roughly a sort of P bass E kind of sound, but much more of like a mid-range kind of bump, and obviously not as warm sounding as this one. But yeah, I'll give you a quick kind of. Front pickup. Again, just kind of that real. You can really let just kind of one note do a lot of the work rather than being kind of really busy and all over the plays, it just kind of really fills out the sound. That combination, having that neck pickup, a short scale bass, it's got that kind of tubbier, warmer, thicker sound anyway. And especially just having that kind of fundamental, real sort of warm, thick, kind of surrounding bass sound, especially when that I'm using that to kind of drive effects and stuff, which we'll talk about in a bit. But that really kind of it's just such a kind of big sort of sound to work with, and you can really lay down a nice bed under whatever you're doing with sort of synths and stuff. And with the setup that Jamie has, especially if he's playing kind of small drums, the way he kind of has his like kick drum tuned, and sort of his snare and cymbal setup, we're kind of like not getting in each other's way. I've kind of got a lot of space to sort of fill out that bottom end, and he kind of provides like a real like percussive attack on top of it, I feel. So it just makes for quite a nice blend. And then back pickup. Again, it's not P bass, but it's kind of somewhere in that realm of just sort of a more kind of that kind of sound that we all know. Takes a pick great. Another thing that, again, especially on a lot of our newer tunes, just seems to be gravitating more towards playing pick with this bass especially. You get kind of like almost hollow body.
Yeah, I was going to say that's definitely that more sort of Paul McCartney.
Yeah,
vibe,
for sure.
Isn't it?
Yeah. So that's that. It's kind of, I mean, for me, with the bass, I'm always looking for like what's the simplest way I can have the range of tools that I kind of want on one bass on a gig. I don't really like taking more than one bass to a gig if I can help it, and I don't want the bass that I do take to be too complicated. So I'm not really into like active stuff, loads of knobs and switches and all of that kind of thing. I kind of just want it simple so I can forget about it and just let the instrument and my hands on it kind of guide me as to what kind of sound I'm going to get. So I just feel like this is just a really usable, it gives me like a really usable framework of a palette of sounds that I'm just kind of really digging, that I just feel like brings something a bit different to, again, that this kind of fusion, jazz, prog, whatever it is, world that we're sort of operating in, where I think you sort of hear a lot of a certain type of bass sound, and again it's just trying to have something a bit more, I guess it's kind of like pretty old school, kind of gets into that sort of 60s Motown-y, Carol Kay sort of sound a bit, which I love. So that's that.
Amazing. I think let's move to your amp next.
Cool. So if I'm taking an amp on a gig, which these days backline is often covered, especially if we're doing like festivals, stuff like that. But if I'm using an amp these days, I'm using this little, it's the newest line of the Ampeg Rocketbass amps. And I was just kind of looking again to simplify my setup a bit, because you're normally doing gigs where you're just you kind of just, if you need an amp, it's really just for like on-stage monitoring to hear yourself, and if you're using it for anything bigger, then you're going through a PA and monitoring, and sometimes in-ears depending on the gig and all of that kind of stuff. So you know, the need for me to really have loads of separates and be carting out a huge rig is, I think those days are kind of gone. So again, just sort of combo, it's just stupidly loud, sounds really good to me, looks kind of vibey on stage, I guess, with the whole like grill and the old school sort of Ampeg thing. It's got, I don't know if you want to bring this over, but it's got a cool feature, like I like this this kind of super grit thing, which is supposed to be like a SVT emulator. I really like it if you basically turn the level all the way up and the grit all the way down, and it gives it just kind of a saturation. I don't know if you can hear it, but if you dig in, you just get a little bit of a kind of a nice musical sort of overdrive to it, which it works. I'm not going to crank it here, but it works sort of better at a higher volume. So that's like a really useful feature. And yeah, I mean, it's just all the other things of convenience and being able to pick it up and lug it around with one hand, and just having, again, I'm just all about really having it as simple as possible, so not even having to have a separate amp head and stuff. I know, you know, there's probably a lot of kind of other pros and bass snobs that would kind of, you know, look down on just taking a little combo out, but yeah, it just works.
If it does the job and
it works,
good,
it works for what I want to do. Yeah, and it's, I mean, you know, I've had some like lovely kind of separate stuff and different gear in the past, but this just sounds really good. It's like, it's stupidly loud. I mean, I've never,
you barely have it above a quarter.
Hardly ever on any gig, yeah. And it's really incredible. So yeah, I'm well impressed with this. I think like maybe Yamaha bought them out or something, I heard. So I don't know if that's kind of like maybe up to the QC a bit, but every one of these I've played, I nearly bought. This is the 210. This has got two 10-inch speakers, and it comes with the tweeter as well, which I always have switched off generally. But there's a 15-inch speaker version of this, which sounds really good as well. But yeah, I think this is like 500 watts at this size. It's like, you know, as I said, it's crazy loud. I've never even tested it really at any kind of mad volume. It's just always you know, kind of does the job. So that's the amp.
Okay, so let's move on to the pedal board. And you've recently done a bit of an upgrade on the pedal board, haven't you? So
yeah, it's pretty new for this year, in terms of just neatening it up and having a bit more of a streamlined approach to it. So there's stuff I've had in the pedals and different things I've been using for ages that's still part of this setup. The Origin effects stuff, so the compressor and the bass rig preamp, they're kind of my like go-to always on kind of things. The bass rig is really cool because, like I said, not taking an amp out all the time, I can basically get the sound I want through any amp using this. So it's just a very, very cool tool. Like, works great as a DI for recording and stuff as well. So yeah, it's really good. And then new stuff is been using the gig rig switching system this year. First time I've kind of used a switcher as on a lot of, especially trio gigs that are kind of very effects heavy and are using more than one effects. I found just bouncing around, tap dancing a lot was getting a bit impractical. And this is good. This is kind of a bit of halfway house. I think they have some more sophisticated ones where you can kind of program in a chain of effects with the switch kind of activates different ones in different combinations. I didn't want to go down that route for this because I still kind of just want the option to sort of be able to take effects on and off the board and put different things in and not have it kind of so tied into one system. But this is the one thing this is great for is just having clean sound. So and if you don't have one of these kind of engaged, it just takes it out of your signal chain, so it's much less sort of noisy than if you're just kind of looping between pedals into an amp or whatever, and they're always in the chain. So that's kind of made all the effects sound better anyway, and much kind of like clearer.
Mm-hmm.
But this also has a cool feature that I do use on a couple of our tunes, that you can select. You can basically pair up pairs of different pedals, and then when you switch one on, it will switch the other off, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very cool if you just want to kind of flick between two different types of effect, really quickly without having to hit more than one switch. So for me, that's like a nice go-between sort of having to tap dance a lot but not being sort of too tied into a kind of fixed system that then I can't kind of quickly take different pedals and stuff out. So
cool. Could you demonstrate a couple of things for us?
Sure, yeah. So maybe if we look at a tune of ours called After the Rain, which is quite kind of an effect heavy tune. So for that we've got this Jam pedals Ripley Full. This is the bass version. I think it might even be discontinued now, but it's basically a chorus vibrato on this side and a phaser on this side, and then you can engage one or other or both, and then in the middle you can triple the speed. So that has a really cool function if you want to get kind of like sort of Leslie speaker sounds and stuff like that. But yeah, so After the Rain, we've got a bit of chorus, we've got the vibrato, we've got the pog for that tune, and then also really cool is this, I'm using the Celebrity Pedals, one of their octave, I think this is version 2 of their Taylor Shift octave pedal, and this is great because this has, so when this is engaged like this, you have the dry signal and the octave below, but then you can just like kick out the dry signal and have the really subby, just the sub octave signal in there, which is kind of what everyone wants these days, that ability just to switch between your traditional octave and then the super subby one. Mm-hmm. So After the Rain uses both of these, so I tend to, different flavors of octave I quite like. There's a couple of tunes, I think Two Bed Flat on Mars comes to mind, where I'm just using the octave up as well on the pog, but I tend not to use the octave up on that too. I'm not really into the kind of thing of having that higher octave and doing like bass solos on it. I'm not really like into that kind of sound with the pog per se, but I think essentially this is like a very analogy warm octave, whereas the pog is like a very digital sound, which I think for certain things just the contrast is cool. And then After the Rain, I switch between using both. So After the Rain we've got some delay, we've got this, and we've got the pog. So that should sound like, and then we go front pickup on the Mullarkey, on the Wilcock, and that should be kind of. So that, very much that kind of, almost a synthy kind of, with the click of the pick and the delay, it kind of has that slightly sort of oscillating sound, I think, with the phaser, which is pretty cool. And then in the sort of B section of that tune, it switches to just using the sub octave from the Taylor, so you get that real. So again, the different flavours of those octaves, essentially, you know, and then so I just find, yeah, especially for getting more synth sort of style tones is kind of a useful sort of thing to have. So yeah.
Cool.
What else?
What else? Did we say maybe don't forget to feed the orchid? Well, you got some similar effects going on in that.
Yeah, orchid again. It's that kind of digital sound from the POG, and then a chorus. So you're getting like back pickup. Kind of. I wanted more of like a 80s sort of. That kind of sort of 80s chorusy rock, very digital with that POG, because the thing with that POG is there's no like glitch in the tracking, so you know, which I love that sort of glitchy octavey sound too, but for something like this it's more like I'm just thinking in terms of like a keyboard bass sound, like quite a naff keyboard bass sound really. But
yeah, okay.
You know, it's yeah, sort of a cheesy, I think.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, you know, other keyboardy sounds that I might want. So this new, I kind of bought this CMC audio pedal. I wanted a new fuzz, and I kind of bought this just on a bit of a whim, because it has a envelope filter as part of it as well. So it's sort of like it's just sort of saving real estate on the pedal board. You got like the jam thing that does chorus, vibrato, phase, and then fuzz and envelope kind of combined in this, and not having to have like too much separate stuff. But I mean, this is just fantastic for like kind of Moog bass sounds. Again, if you kind of whack that on with both the octave and the dry signal on this one, you get that real kind of. You know, it's so cool for doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of rad, sort of. You know, really cool. It even does like, that's kind of the wah sound. It does like an owl sound as well. That sort of reverse octave. It's really cool. Like, if you just want to use it as a fuzz, you can take the filter off and then kind of dial in a bit of fuzz. And in fact, I'm using that on a brand new tune that we've been doing, called Water Thief. So, and I'll demonstrate how this kind of switching thing works. So, in this tune, I'm switching between the kind of intro, which has a delay, and then going into a sort of fuzz sound to cut through. So I don't have them on at the same time. So I'm kind of going for. They should light up, yeah. So you'll see that goes red, and then if I hit the delay, it will take the fuzz off. So that tune starts again with the chorus, because it's got like the chorus and delay, sort of a policey kind of Andy Summers sort of. And then you got kind of a very much kind of a police sort of sound, but you're also switching between this sound and and so it's just super useful, just being able to kind of again flick between that sort of delayed and the. So yeah, it's just kind of, I don't know, it's working out, seems to be working out really well. I'm loving like just the amount of sound. I've barely scratched the surface with this BFF, this fuzz envelope pedal really, because there's so much you can get out of it, and you know, the more I kind of delve into it, I kind of get ideas for tunes with different sort of sounds you can get out of it. Just sounds really cool. And the combination of using that, the Taylor shift and that together, you know, you can really get some really kind of
super subby
synthy, you know, it does kind of all of that sort of beautifully. So, yeah.
Fab. Trev, thanks so much for talking us through your bass rig. I think we can all agree that was super insightful, and hopefully it's given you guys a bit more information on the sort of sounds we create and the sounds that Trev creates through his different pedals, and just the variations that he can get with that bass on its own. Just to let you know, we've also got some gigs coming up, so if you want to see this in action, we're going to be at Pizza Express in Soho, London on the 20th of July, and also newly announced 28th of September in Guildford at the Star Inn, which is with Rettenbacker's Funkestra and also Chris Booth as well, so it's going to be an amazing gig. Get your tickets for that, and hopefully we will see you next week for episode 7 of EFTV. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.